Hi, all, and welcome. This is the second episode of the Bot War special videocast. I'm Mark Shoring, and I'm joined tonight by Anthony, Stuart, and Bjorn. We're here to talk all things Bot War. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, really good. Anthony?
Good, good. Yep.
So we've got a lot going on with Bot War at the moment, and I know Anthony's about to fill us in. So, Anthony, it's, you know, all things Bot War, number one guru. Tell us what's going on.
Oh, I actually don't think there's been a time where there's been. Sorry, I'm watching the reflection of the light in my glasses from my PC. But actually, I might just put that down. I don't remember a time where there's been sort of so many spinning bot war plates at once. It's I wouldn't say necessarily like loads and loads of releases, but just faction guides. There's now 4 faction guides in various states of completion for the remainder of the year. So, and then each of those has a little bit of releases, like a few little releases to go with it. Well, except for Red Star, which is obviously the pre-order that's coming up 1st of May.
Awesome. Good shout out there. There's only 35 sets, isn't there, Anthony?
Yes, I always just do the same. Always just do 35 sets for pre-order. So yeah, that's pretty much how it goes, and you get a discount. And someone pointed out that it wasn't a discount, so I actually had to fix that because I had calculated it wrong. But now it's a pretty decent discount, actually.
Awesome. And I think you get some bonus models in there, a different place.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, you get an extra Ankylo Borg, and then the Firewolf jet, and then a bunch of the new Cyborg Legionnaires.
Yeah, that's going to be good. So that's coming up 1st of May. What else is going on?
Well, lots of stuff. I think you guys saw the cover of the Red Star Nations guide. So I have 4 artists now working full time on projects. 2 sculptors now working part time on projects. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming. Golden Lions are getting sculpted at the moment.
I believe some new investors as well.
Yes. They're all finished nearly. I actually, by this time next week, I should have them in my hands, as in the casts. So, which will be really cool. Really, really cool, actually. I converted up a whole Infestors army. I don't know what possessed me, but I decided to convert up a whole Infestors army because I want a convert, in the new Hive Lords book, which is a sub-faction, the first sub-faction. I realize I'm probably not making much sense to new viewers, because I'm trotting out all these things like sub-faction and stuff like that. So feel free to interject because my brain's a bit scrambled today. But yeah, Hive Lords will be an all new way to play Infestors. And so I decided, as a bit of something a bit different for a sub-faction, that I would actually convert every single model of the Infestors into so I've got Beetle, and I've put some electricity around his hands and his claws and stuff. And I've got Maggot. I did a pretty serious conversion with her. I actually cut her off and have her coming out of the ground. So yeah. And then the Summoner and Mothrock, I should be casting up maybe on the weekend, maybe this weekend. And so there'll be a pack of larvae as well for people to get as well. So yeah, it should be. I'm really excited about that force, actually.
And
it's going to be really cool.
And I think we're going to be talking all things Infestors at our next episode.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So, Bjorn, you were going to say something.
Will these new Infestors and a lot of the new releases that come, like those small releases that come with the faction guides, are they coming in metal Like, are they going to be cast in metal exclusively, or eventually will they down the track become part of the resin line of each of those factions?
I had the answer is I don't 100% know.
Okay.
I know that the current part of it is I'm trying to not rely too much on one thing, because the global situation of things is a bit crazy at the moment. So if someone all of a sudden says, "Oh, you can't buy from this country or you can't do anything here," well, then you're sort of stuffed in a way. So what I'm trying to do is build up some of the, for instance, the Red Cannoneers. A lot of those sculpts were just reposes and slight changes to existing resin sculpts. So people could choose to have the resin, and I'd also have a backup of metals if I need it for those characters. But the Mothrock and the Summoner I guess are probably just going to stay in metal for now, because it's only 2 models. So, but they're reasonably big. But yeah, I'm trying. Like a lot of the Valiant ones will be reposes of existing models, so people can choose. But yeah, with those 2, it won't be. Although, in saying that, I did try and cast the hovercraft for Democracy in metal, and I did succeed, but there's no way that can be a production model. So that actually is going to come out in resin, and it'll land about the same time as the Red Star.
Okay, cool.
Is there any other news there?
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, there is actually lots of news. So all the immolators have also been concepted. I don't know whether you guys have seen them all. I think there's 12. I think there's 12 figures, or 12 different concepts in the line, but a couple of the concepts are doubles, as in there's multiple characters that would use that same concept. For instance, the fire conflagration spirit. So that's all done now, which is pretty exciting. I really like those. I've seen the first look at a couple of the Craw Warband of Wrath stuff. It's going to look pretty cool. So that'll be probably the second sub-faction. So yeah. But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff happening for Bot War, that's for sure.
And then obviously the last thing we probably need to talk about, because it leads into what we're going to talk about later tonight, is the Democracy faction guide that's just been released.
Yes, yep.
So we'll be doing a deeper dive into that later.
Yeah.
Anthony, is there anything you want to mention about that at this stage?
Yeah, actually, I might do, in case I forget later, I'll do a shout out to Steve Remington, who actually helped me write it. So Steve, as people on the Bot War group will know, is sort of like the fan fiction writer of Bot War, and he actually helped me write some of the character bios and for the vehicles and stuff like that. So yeah, shout out to Steve he's a huge help, and he's actually helping me write some of the ones for the Atlantican guide as well.
That's awesome. So there'll be things to look forward to. On that note, we probably should break into Community Spotlight and have a look at all those Facebook posts that are up on the actual page at the moment. I'm just going to screen share at the moment so I can talk our way through it. So we want that one. So let's just hope. I think you're all seeing that now, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just thought we'd start off with Baron's most recent post here in this case with his Darkstone force, and I'll throw open to the group. What do you think?
I think he's done an absolutely wonderful job on these. Such nice paint jobs on all of them, but the thing that ties them all together as well is the basing. Like,
Yeah,
nice
the
crisp
basing
paint
looks great.
jobs, good basing as well.
He's done a great job. I mean, I can
I
bring
li-
up individual pictures here and we can highlight in, but just, I mean, just have a look at, Darkstone's just amazing.
yeah, I love the dark stones, and he's done a really good job as well. Looks real sort of
Let's have a look.
real strong colors in them, and I think that the basing really brings them out more as well, because the basing's sort of like I think he's got, like, if I can see that, I remember him saying or showing this on Discord. I think they're like is it like fool's gold, the
All right.
little stuff he's got on the base, some sort of
That's quite
like
interesting.
I think it's fool's gold, which is sort of like, is that emerald? I don't know,
Mhm.
but yeah, it looks really cool, especially for rock golems, you know.
That's what we've got there, the rock golems, and it looks, amazing. Even the way he's painted it in combination with it, it's really great. And then you've got Spinosaurus as well, and equally the base is awesome and quite bright colors there as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that
Is
is Phil's God. Someone will probably say in the comments if it is or it isn't. But it sort of looks a bit like it.
He's done a really good job. It's an interesting faction as well, because you got two very different styles to the models in it. So you've got the obviously like Darkstone Spinosaurus, where they're quite, usual bots, quite bold colors, straight lines, and then the very sort of organic looking rock people. It's a very different kind of approach to it, and I think he's done a really good job on all these models.
I think he's got there as well, Mark. Some of the golems, and he's put the extra arms on them.
Yep.
I don't know if he's got that on the picture there.
I think it's back.
I just love that giant hammer arm.
That's on the right there, I believe. Just you can sort of see it sticking out there to the side, and the
No, I
extent.
think that is it the ones with I think he's done like the obsidian golems or the granite golems. Is there a picture of those? There's
Not the one I have here,
I'm not
Anthony.
sure.
I've only got these.
Okay.
So
Maybe that was on the Discord I saw. So I think he's done more. Maybe it's on the movie down the bottom.
Yep.
I don't know. But yeah, like it's just the giant hammer arm just looks so beefy.
Look, I think that's a special mention. He's done a great job with that.
Yeah.
But on that note, we also have to mention, I believe, this post you put up, Anthony, with Haunter.
Oh yeah, Martin Bush.
Yep,
from Germany.
Pictures as well. I believe that they've got quite a few looks, and I've got to say, very striking as well.
Yeah, Martin picked that miniature out specifically. He just really wanted to paint it. I just love the glowy effect on the double side there.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it looks really good.
The two-tone greens the whole way through, I think, are amazing. Stuart is our paint expert. What do you think?
Oh, it's lovely. It's absolutely wonderful. It's he's got nice gradients in his painting. Like there's a very nice transition between the dark to the light. I don't know whether he's used an airbrush to sketch it in first, or if he's just used brushwork for it. If he's just used brushwork
or magic,
or magic. But if he's just used a brush, then hats off to him. That takes a long time, and it's very, very good work. But it's just really nicely done. I like the way he's tied it in. The base really sets it off as well. I think that kind of desert wanderer, or lord man in the desert sort of, yeah.
But it's not like the good thing about the desert is it looks actually like it's desert at night.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a real bright desert in the day, which is why I quite like it. It's very sort of dark, or in the looks like desert in the evening, which is
quite muted and
yeah,
sinister.
yeah. which
Yeah,
is perfect for
you can
haunting.
imagine seeing the glow from a distance as he sort of appears from the from the desert coming towards you, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's fantastic.
And hoping he hasn't got you in his sights. Look, we've also got this one. I know Anthony's put this one up as well. It's by
Oh, yeah, Peter.
and she's done Dougal in a slightly different color scheme and equally awesome miniature. What do you think, Anthony?
Oh no, it's lovely. It's fantastic work. I don't think it took Peter that long actually to do that. I want to say a few hours, which is insane, right? Like that's just
Yeah.
insane. So some people just have all the talent.
I mean, just look at the sword. You got that lightning on the sword there, just towards the sort of mid to the end. Yeah, just amazing piece of work there.
Mm.
We've also got some community ones. This one came in. It was originally posted on the 26th, but we had some comments after our last show of some democracy vehicles by David Mullen.
Oh yeah.
Tonight is a democracy night. I thought it was worth throwing them up as well. We've got some special branch there. I couldn't get any closer picture than that, but it was just nice to see some democracy up there. And perhaps we need to shout out to all of our Facebook community members to put up some democracy. It'd be good to show them at our next video cast. But I thought these were some great examples and worth having a bit of a chat about as well.
Yeah, the special branch miniatures always look fantastic when they're painted up nicely. Like there was I can't remember who did it. They did the the truck body with like a airbrushed sort of big text logo across it and like the
Oh yeah, that
lines
was
and stuff.
Ben. That was
Yeah,
Ben Williams.
yes. And I remember up until that point I had no interest in democracy. Like I was all about bots and stuff. And then I saw them and I'm like, well, actually, these are super cool.
I don't
And
know
ever
how he
since then
did
I've
that.
loved them. Yeah.
Ben basically took a thing that was already super 80s and then actually like
It made
times
it
it
more
by
80s.
100.
Yeah.
times, yeah, it was like times by 100 in the 80s retro. So it was pretty full on.
Yeah, that was
I think he's got on his Instagram.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
He's got like a couple of sort of step by steps. So where
Oh,
he
really?
shows like his because I remember I saw it similar to you, Bjorn, where I saw it and went, oh, they're really nice.
Yeah.
And I went onto his Instagram and he's got like a couple of step by steps of how he's like started off, and I think it might be on the Beast of War site as well, where he's done like a project log. But check it out.
I love
His
Ben's
Instagram's
work
really
because
nice.
I love Ben's work because his color choices are just so out there and like innovative. They're just so different. Just like throws everything, all pre-existing color choices sort of out the window and just chooses his own. Like I think he did like Freedom Eagle 1 in like fluoro green and just
Yeah.
like all that sort of cool. There's just crazy choices. So and I think he did his Red Star Nations as well. Like they looked very sort of like Lego Jurassic Park type of with orange dinosaurs and stuff like that. Looked really cool.
We'll have to see if we can get some of those posts up on the next one.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get them up for the next one because they were pretty impressive.
I'll look for that. I think they came out midway through last year, didn't they, from memory?
I put them in Galactic Transmission, I think.
Yeah, they were in one of the Galactic Transmissions. I remember seeing them in there. But they were a while ago. They would have been like, year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Our last mention for today was one by Brandon. He was doing Up Destructor and had posted this back on the 30th of March. And I thought it was worth just sharing it as another community member doing some painting and getting some painting up there. Again, very bright colors. Fluoro green comes in there, Anthony.
Yeah.
And it was coming together, but we haven't seen any other photos since then, but another piece of work. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I
Oh, I
love.
just yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You,
Go on.
no, you go, Anthony.
No, it's all right.
I was just going to say it's nice to see people posting up the works in progress, not just the finished items. It, you get to see how people are doing things, and that can sometimes get a bit of a conversation going about, oh, how did how are you doing this and stuff like that, which is a lot nicer to see sometimes.
Absolutely. Look, we've got some great community up there. I'd like to shout out to everybody to say, please put photos up. It's always great to be able to talk about them in this, obviously, the video cast, but just everybody to share their ideas, obviously, in the Facebook groups as well. Thoroughly encourage it. And we'd love to showcase your work here on the video cast as well.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate that too, Mark, because it's sometimes like when I'm creating all these things and doing all this stuff, I can't tell you how many times I've been inspired by people's like the community work that's been done with the stuff. Like we were just saying with Ben's, when we're talking about Ben Williams' stuff there, and both Stuart and Bjorn and myself were inspired by Ben's work on that, which then it really helps. That inspiration helps the creative process for me. That's for sure.
And I think if we could also get things like battle reports up there. I know there haven't been actually. I was actually wanting to really put up some battle reports, where people have put up photographs. I know Anthony put some up, but if we can get some battle reports up there, it'd be lovely to showcase those in the video cast as well and give
for sure
on those as well. There are a few other things that we wanted to have an honourable mention about, and I believe to start with, Cinderfall Gaming have done a number of little transmissions that they put up online. I've got this one here. It's starting a collection of Bot War, but they've done more than that. And I'll throw to Anthony to have a bit of a chat about that.
Yeah, Luke's been fantastic, actually. What I love about Cinderfall's stuff is it's just like sort of high-level stuff. Like he just goes through, I think you're just saying then, Mark, like he takes like a faction and just like goes through like high level, gives a quick overview to people of a faction. That's not something that we've had in Bot War for quite some time, actually. And it's just so quick and easy, It's just like, have a look at it. Oh, yeah, okay. And Luke talks through it. So I've really enjoyed those that Luke's put up. And there was the other one as well. I don't know if you're bringing that one up.
I believe. I think he's done Beast Lords.
He did Electro Tyrants, Drone Army.
I've only got this.
I think he did White Knights, maybe.
Yeah, he's done a number of them. So I think it's important that, the community has a little bit of a look at those, because it's always good to get a bit of an understanding from that viewpoint. And also, as a segue, just to mention, Jason has also done the faction guides for Green Spectre and had a bit of a talk about those too as a faction guide review. And I think some of those were very good as well.
Yeah, and I think Jace will be doing one on Special Branch and Democracy as well. I've been so slack, I just haven't sent it to him. I think he did the Red Cannoneers one as well. So yeah, that's once again, that's good. Jace just gives an overview of the guide and stuff like that, which is just handy on that sort of as you're flicking through, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And again, people from the community sharing their ideas and helping to grow the community. And we also have this one here. I know, Anthony, you posted this one up, which was 5 fast highlights for painting up Bot War miniatures. I think it came out not long ago as well. I think 5 days ago. And it was just a quick little video to show how to paint up a whole heap of different starter bots Valiants. And I thought was worth just calling out for the community and making them aware it was up there. And
Drew's fantastic. He's a real fan of Bot War, and like this to me is like the sort of content that really helps new people get into it. Like the ease at which like Drew got such a great effect on those models is real testament to like just how simple they can be to get to a really good standard.
Yeah, they look fantastic there.
Mm.
So another really great thing to have a look at. Just a few other things. I think that we should also mention Cornelius has been working very hard on a Bot War player guide as a true advocate for playing the game and doing lots of battle reports. It'd be nice to see lots more pins on this actual board.
Yeah, I think we're only like, have we got even like 15% of the pins of the people that I know are playing? Like, that's sort of been a bit of frustration around that for me, is that I just love to see everybody pin on there, because I think everybody will be surprised. I think we've already had a few people like that have pinned. Oh, you just live there. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like, so I think there's been games. You got that, didn't you, Stuart? I think you.
Yeah. There's a couple of guys live within about 6 or 7 miles of me. So, and I didn't know because we've got quite a few different groups. I suppose it's the same in most cities. You've got quite a few gaming groups in your area. But yeah, it was certainly useful finding that there's actually a player base like local to me. I don't have to, travel too far to get it. It's been really useful too.
Yeah.
Bjorn, has it been useful for you?
Not hugely yet. It's funny because like in Melbourne there's 2 pins for like Melbourne, which is me and then Jason that does those YouTube videos. And then there's the rest of the guys in our group who I presume are like, well, the pin is in the same spot for us and we all know each other. So I'm guessing that's why they haven't bothered to do it. But there's I think there's 2 other guys in the state that have dropped pins so far, which is I think Sammy and someone else. There's someone in Echuca and someone sort of just out of Melbourne, who we knew already about, but we just never seemed to manage to get to actually meet up with them. I was hoping at one time to organize some sort of just Bot War day at a game store in Melbourne CBD, to try to encourage those people to come down, kind of thing, to meet everyone and try to get some games in. But that just hasn't happened between me having a baby and different things, having some time away. That just hasn't happened yet.
There's a bunch of people in Geelong as well.
Yeah, are they on the map yet? I haven't checked the map super recently.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think they are.
No.
So
which is a shame.
Yeah, and there's more in Brizzy as well, Mark. So obviously I have everybody's address, right? Because I can't share that, and not going to force these people to put on. Yeah, just can't input it onto the map.
Yeah.
I would like to though. That would be it. Would definitely be a lot more blue dots. And I think people would be surprised.
You could always just put the blue dots in the right place with, unnamed user in this area.
Yeah.
So then people can just spam the Facebook group going, hey, who is it that lives in this area?
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's also people that aren't actually on the Facebook group that don't have Facebook.
Like I was saying to you earlier in the week or something, that we've had Jason added another guy to our game chat kind of thing who has Bot War stuff and has been wanting a game but didn't know anyone that had it. So it's funny, there are all these random people, every now and then someone's like, oh, is that Bot War? I bought some of that a while ago and just never had anyone to play with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we've had a few of those happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Ohio. There's a lot of people playing Bot War in Ohio, in the US, but I don't think there's hardly anyone on the map. It's maybe Ohio is like the USA gaming state. I don't know, but every single border I seem to be sending something to Ohio. It's strange.
Well, I thought it was really good we got a dot over in Singapore. It's the first one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I noticed that just recently pop up. So
I know someone contacted me recently because I'm not really a web head or anything like that, but someone contacted me, so, oh, I'm trying to order from Singapore and it's not like working. And I'm like, oh crap, I don't actually think it's set up for Singapore. So how many people have I missed from Singapore over the years thinking that it was all set up and it wasn't actually set up. So yeah. And I see we had some people joining from South Africa, Pretoria in South Africa, some gamers.
That's good.
Yeah, which is like I hadn't seen that before, unless I missed it. But I usually try and keep on top of everybody that joins the group.
That's good. We'll get some on the African continent then as well. So stay tuned for those pins.
Yeah.
Look, the last post is one that Richard just put up too, and I just thought we'd just share it. I know, Stuart, you're over in the UK, but I believe this festival's at Norwich. And
Norwich.
And there's going to be a bot war table there. I think they're going to do some gaming. And so just a big shout out to everybody in the UK if you're available and everything. That obviously there'll be a bot war table there, and it might be worth getting down and saying hello.
There'll be a lot of people there actually that know about bot war, because I was looking at the store list, and all those stores I have had extensive discussions about bot war with. So, and there's 2 stockists there for bot war.
It's definitely one to get out and actually go and have a look at then if you're a bot war enthusiast. So just a big shout out to Richard for putting that up, and that probably ends the community spotlight. So a lot's going on, and there's going to be more going on. So get those posts up there, and we'd love to showcase them with our next video cast. What we're going to do now is I'm going to throw across to Stuart. Stuart's going to actually be starting a new segment now, and that is Painting 101 with Stuart. So I believe he's going to take us through some techniques that the master painters use. Stuart, over.
Can I just preface this quickly? It's like that's painting, not varnishing. And you can explain that, Stuart. You can explain.
Yes, varnishing. Yeah, my current bugbear. So I've had a disaster with varnishing recently. Bought a new can from a new manufacturer that I've never used before, and thought, this will be all right. I've had lots of recommendations to use this company, who also produce primers as well. And unfortunately, it turned all of my figures white, which was fantastic. That I've been working on. So, top tip for varnishing: try it out on a bit of card first.
Excellent point.
Yeah, I learned that lesson a long time ago. Back actually when I was in UK, and it wasn't actually me that learned it, but I learned it through the pain of a friend. He was doing a sort of all-nighter to get his army painted for a tournament.
Yeah,
he just put the last brush stroke on. Great, went to varnish it, and he was so tired he picked up the black spray. And he black sprayed his army the night about 3 a.m. before the tournament started.
That's even worse. That is even worse.
So I never use varnish now without checking it.
Yeah. There's a few things. I mean, varnish, had it just been misting that had happened, that would have been all right, because there's a few tricks that you need to do to get around that. But when you spray out the can and then you turn around and it's kind of like it's undercoated, the whole thing, and it kind of that's it. I mean, there's nothing more you can do. The paint's ruined. You have to just strip and start again. It's a pain, but never mind. So yeah, well, what I was going to talk about actually was where you start, which I suppose is something that's on my mind because I've had to restart some things recently, but is just to do with priming, painting, and prepping your models. So I think one of the most important things is, but certainly with any resin or plastic models, is the first thing that you should do really is give them a good scrub. I don't know if any of you guys do this yourself. No. No,
I mean, everyone says to do it. I've never done it. I've not had a problem.
it's
So
generally speaking, you probably won't, because most companies that produce models will wash the
Yeah.
figures anyway. They spruce their models, and they'll go in a bath and they'll get washed. But sometimes there can be release agent set on there, and it's the same with any model kit, whether it's sort of from certain other large manufacturers or like an FX kit or something like that. You should always give it a good washing in like soapy water. Just a little bit of dish soap, warm water, give it a scrub, rinse it under the tap and leave it to dry. And after that, you'll tend to find that it's, because sometimes you get a model and it's got kind of greasy, or a slight amount of like sort of greasy feel to it, and that's just the release agent. So if you give it a good scrub, you'll tend to find that you won't get this problem where your primer will stick initially, but as you're going through and painting, whether you're not using contrast or just normal base colors, and you get little flakes of your primer coming off. I don't know if you've ever had that before. Like I say, it sometimes happens, but best thing to do, wash your figures first, and then obviously your primer will stick nice and easy. You won't have as many problems going forward. And that's my top tip for the day.
Foundation.
Foundation. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do is with our future episodes, obviously Stuart will be sharing more ideas, and we'll get some photos up there, and it'll be a good chance for us to have a bit of a chat through. And if anybody's got any questions, they can obviously filter them into the Facebook post beneath, obviously, this videocast after it's been released, and we can answer those questions about painting at our next episode as well. But thank you, Stuart, for that. What we're going to do now is go for a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking as a faction guide deep dive into the democracy. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back. We're going to be talking about the faction guides now for the democracy. And we're going to do, obviously, both of the sub-factions of the democracy, because we have two sub-factions now. We have Special Branch and we have the democracy, both representing the democracy as a whole, but now have these sub-factions. So you can play one army or the other. Or you
can I just clarify? Sorry to interject, Mark, and mess up your great introduction. But I just wanted to clarify that it's not really a sub-faction. They're factions, because I think it's not confusing now, but it might be for people when we start talking about sub-factions in different episodes, which will be full sub-factions. So, sorry. Keep going with your amazing intro.
So with that note, obviously, that's a good point. So when we're playing these forces, I know that with the guides that we've had to date, to get the special rules that you obviously have to play with obviously with each faction guide, it has to be that force completely picked to get those special abilities. But obviously with the democracy, there might be a player out there that goes, you know what, I want some Special Branch, but you know what, I want to chuck in a few of the democracy figurines because they're really cool as well. I want some infantry on the table with my Special Branch. How will that play out, obviously, with the faction guides here, Anthony?
Yeah, so people can still play that way because that's the original way that democracy was. So you can still choose to mix and match the various branches of the democracy and play with the normal stack cards that you get in the box sets, etc. And there's no issues. These particular faction guides for democracy, the decision was made to split the democracy because part of the reason for doing all the faction guides was to tweak the balancing of some of the forces for tournament play. So part of that balancing was splitting the democracy Eagles, Vets, Regulars from the Special Branch, because both of those play very differently. And because then the second part of the thing for the faction guides is to really theme each faction. So I decided to split the two and move Special Branch into your real sort of guerrilla warfare, hit and run type of thing, and keep Democracy more as your sort of solid anvil type of force. So together, they're pretty strong.
Yes, they are. Lots of range and not much melee. So that'd probably be one of the first factors. It's very much a ranged faction. Would we all agree with that, gentlemen?
Yes, definitely.
Who here's
Oh, yeah.
played Democracy before and got in
Pardon?
and got it? Everybody had a chance to play Democracy, or?
I've played against Democracy a lot. One of the guys I play with, it's been his main faction for a while.
Yep.
So I've played against them a lot. So I've had to deal with them a lot. And they're not
And
not
Bjorn's
easy.
still got the limp from it. He's
Yeah.
still got the limp from playing against him.
And he's also one of those kind of players that likes to try to go hard as well. So he had the right faction for that.
Tell me, did he push the advantage, or did he stay back and just blast you from afar and you try to get in and into range and sort of take him down? Or did he just keep moving, blasting you?
He would keep moving and blasting normally. So he before the change to jetpack, he used to love doing a lot of, pop out, take a shot, pop away kind of thing.
Yes.
Making it really hard for you because he ends that activation with that miniature back out of sight. So especially at the time I was playing a lot of Beast Lords, it was just before Coils, the big Coils release happens, and like you couldn't get up to them. They would just keep moving back away from you, and because they'd keep moving out of line of sight, when you activated your Beast Lords, you couldn't get into combat with them. So the best you could do was move up and get a shot off at best, kind of thing. So yes, it was extremely frustrating. He knew not to because he had picked what he thought would be the absolute best Democracy lineup. This was playing Special Branch and Eagles Vets together, and he came up with a lineup that was just like crazy. He never played it against me. I know he played it against Jason and his infestors once, because he was annoyed that the first time they played, he kind of just took like a normal force and Jason beat him. So the next time they met, he took that special kind of force, and I think he beat Jason on turn 2, destroyed everything, all done.
Didn't give him a chance.
No, not at all. So,
one of the most brutal builds in the original amalgamated force was the Hatchet Convoy combo. So you've got Hatchet with the Desert Dogs inside for repair and extra energy, and then you've got basically having Hatchet and Convoy pop out and shoot something with 4 RA. It's pretty brutal.
Yep.
So and both had jetpack. So those two models could pretty much run the whole table. And that's actually one of the leading reasons why for the split. It is so in of all the faction guys that we'll ever talk about, I think Democracy probably received some debuffs in their special rules rather than any buffs. So Special Branch can now, to highlight their sort of hit and run guerrilla tactics, their maximum range is 18 inches, which is a bit of a debuff, like 6 inches short of everybody else.
I can actually for you here, Anthony. So we'll put that up.
Great. And so we got and then the other one really was that overall I've had to change jetpack because the special rule itself was just too powerful in the hands of skilled players. So it now has a higher cost. It'll essentially take 4 energy to use it without any shots. So because you go to move out, then move, and then shoot is 1, and then to move back is 2. So it basically costs an extra energy every time you use it than normal. So, but yeah, that's. Did you fix that up, Mark? It just disappeared
at the moment. Yeah. Just give me a minute.
And yeah, so I think overall, like, and the final debuff was that no democracy vehicles can boost close attacks. So
is that for both factions?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so even in close attack, you can't actually, because you used to be, even if you had 0 close attack stat, you could actually technically, you always get your critical. So that's even like a tank will get a critical. And that's sort of just to represent the dude climbing out with like a satchel charge or something and throwing it onto a bot or something like that. So you always get your critical, but you used to be able to boost that as well. So even like a tank with 0 could potentially get 2 dice. So now though you can't get any boosts at all. So you're not allowed to boost close attack
which means that the democracy jets that are dedicated flyers, they are dedicated flyers, aren't they?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes. Which means that they have no ability to get out of close combat.
They still get their critical.
Oh, yes. Sorry, they still get that 1. They just can't boost it. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, so
just makes it a little bit harder. Yeah.
Yeah, so they still get their critical dice. Everybody still gets a critical. It's built into the core rules, but you just can't boost close attacks with the vehicles. So, but I think probably the biggest, like, don't get me wrong, they're still actually both are still really powerful factions. So they're not like what I'm saying about debuffs. Like the debuffs they're still, I would say, maybe democracy is a little bit stronger than special branch now, but I think in the right hands, special branch they'll easily be on par. But that's not to say that either of them are, like, they're still in the top tier forces. So
I'd say that'd still be right up there. Yeah,
so they're still in the top tier forces. They've just had the edges fold off, you know. So yeah, but it just that makes people think a little bit more. It's not as cookie cutter as it used to be, and people have more of a chance, especially as some of the other factions have received some tools to be able to try and deal with things like jetpack. For instance, Overlords have the upgrade that you can ram attack or attack stuff that they can't see at the beginning of their activation, and just little things like that. More artillery pieces in other factions and things like that. So overall, they've just been brought down a peg or two, but they were too hot. They were too high above other people, which is why they were brought down.
On that note, Anthony, I had a question. Because obviously the faction guides say if you take an elite force, then you get the special faction rules. What happens if a player decides for special branch, for this argument, I'm going to take predominantly special branch units, but I'm going to take 1 democracy unit. That then turns off the special branch faction rules, doesn't it? And so then they would actually get the full 24 inches, and they would.
Yeah, correct. But we're only talking for specifically for balance for tournaments.
Yes.
So in the tournament pack will specifically recommend that the faction guide factions be used.
Yes. So it has to be faction guide in tournament. Yeah.
Correct. Well, that's what I'm going to recommend. Obviously, people can do whatever they want.
Yes.
But that's the purpose, or part of the purpose for the faction guides, is to try and bring the tiers of strength of each of the factions much closer together.
So that was sort of what I was talking about there. So Bjorn, if your friend down in Victoria was to build a unit and then add one, the democracy unit, all those negative debuffs all of a sudden go away.
Yep, it's just back to normal.
Correct. So if you're playing in your local clubs, I can see a lot of people bringing a democracy vehicle or something in to get rid of the debuffs in that case to pump up their special. That's
I think he, the guy that I don't know whether we're allowed to mention his name, but I think he would use the guide. I think he would. I think he'd still be very good with it. Don't get me wrong.
I think we will just make the decision whether we're using the guides or not, basically, and just stick to that. That's not like a difficult thing, I don't think. I mean, he would still probably do extremely well with either one of them. So I don't think he would be going out of his way to sort of, bring out 8 special branch miniatures, and you're like, oh, thank goodness, and then suddenly just drop a little tank down as well, and you're like, oh no. I don't think he'd quite do that. He might do it once just for a laugh, but I think after that it'll just be, he'll stick to the guides.
Well, look, if you're talking about the democracy, there's no downside to taking a full the democracy force. I don't really see too much in the way of debuff. And in fact, the veteran abilities table could be quite beneficial to the democracy player. And I can see people really getting into using the democracy and the attributes that are actually there. They've still got excellent range attack. I think, Anthony, you described them as the hammer before?
Yeah, when I was writing the democracy, I actually thought to myself, geez, actually looking at going through the stat cards and stuff, I was just thinking, some of these are just brutally tough units, like the Honey Badger and Hatchet we've mentioned already. But even like the other helicopter, the Firefly and some of the others are like, and the infantry. The infantry can be really brutal as well.
Well, look, Veterans of War under the democracy faction rules, which I've got there up on the screen, you roll a d6 at the start of the game and they get something, and there's a lot of good stuff on that table.
Yeah, it's just one model, though. It's not everybody.
No,
it's just
if it's on the right model, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
Like if you get a 6 and get a strategy rating of 1, that could be very, very good with the right type of model.
Yep, that's true. But like, I don't know about you guys, but I can never roll a 6.
I can only roll a 6 when it's to my disadvantage. Which is why I love your dice, Anthony.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does everybody else think of the democracy? Is there anything that you'd sort of like to share and add at this particular point? I mean, they're both great factions, great long range. Is there any key words or things that you love to see when you play those units?
I mean, there's enough keywords. If you go to the Eagles Vets infantry, half the card is words. I mean, could they have more special abilities?
I mean, to use it, they've got blast, they've got efficient, they've got focus fire, inspiring presence, jetpack, nuclear shells, obscure, pure of purpose, repair, scout, sharpshooter, sniper, strategist, and surge. They're all the infantry. Specific words. There's a lot in there that you could actually use to build out.
They're not on every single one, but I admit that they do have. Yeah, they do have a lot of special rules, but most of the infantry don't have that. But these guys are all heroes, So they're sort of like your bots for democracy, really.
And the Ninja Masters are now very nasty again.
Yes. Oh, sorry about that.
No, they're really good. They're SR1 now, so watch out for those. It's
Well,
interesting. Yeah, sorry, Anthony.
I was going to say they always were. I just made a typo.
So if you've got the old faction guide, please understand the Ninja Masters are SR1, and there is a fix to that guide. So please get the new guide. It's also interesting to note that the special branch only has 16 vehicles, where the democracy has 30, I believe, in total. So
Yeah.
you look at all the different things. So does that mean special branch might be getting some more units in the future, Anthony?
I haven't got any plans to, but now that the two factions are separate, that's sort of how I want to release stuff. Is like I want to release stuff per guide. So as the guides get re-looked at, there'll be a couple of little releases for each, like, you know, as it ticks over. It's so much easier for me in a process wise to do it like that, rather than just randomly deciding that some miniature's gonna come out. Like, it's just much easier to do it as a guide and just like, you know, keep it is. But I don't see the special branch of democracy getting any new units anytime soon, because their guide is actually, like, both of the guides are pretty brand new, and they have all the Turbo Plus cards and everything.
Yes.
So I don't really see them getting anything. The ones that will get stuff sporadically throughout the next couple of years will be the older guides. I think Coils was the first one, Coils and Deceivers and stuff like that. So they'll probably get different things or be changed before the new guides with the Turbo Plus cards.
Awesome. And before we finish up on the democracy, I'm curious to hear Stuart's thoughts on how he might paint some of these. I'm going to put them up on the screen. Hold on. What do you think? What do you think here? You think you could give us some ideas on what you might do to these guys if you were to repaint them?
Let's have a look. So let's see, the squirrel. Is it squirrel? The little four-wheel thing. I think I painted that one.
And I think you did the squirrel and the sky cycle.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, colours wise, I have quite fancied having a look at these. I think it would be very hard for me to resist painting the big rig like a purple. It would be very hard not to do it purple.
Awesome.
But I do quite like the idea of going through the special branch stuff. I had been looking at the democracy as well. I kind of like the idea of airborne assault with helicopters and an infantry and an air support as well. But special branch, there is a draw. There is a draw. The special branch.
You can get crazy colors with the special branch. They lend themselves to going completely and utterly 80s mad.
Lots of hot pink and lime green, I think, is the idea for special branch.
I'm surprised no one mentioned, Mark, the new units in democracy. You've
got the hovercraft, don't you?
D-Force Buzzard. No, they're like the color swaps. D-Force Buzzard. You've got the Mongoose returning, which is a color swap of the Coils Viper. And then there's the D-Force.
Yeah.
Matic.
Yep.
D-Force Wasp. The D-Force SBV. Which is
Interceptor.
That's Interceptor, which is like one of the poorest models in the game.
The strongest model in the game.
As you can tell, everybody, that's a running joke.
I don't know. It's not a joke. He's pretty good for 8 points.
Look at the moment, obviously they've got a very military style, but I'm curious, Stuart, how would you paint them if you were to paint these ones in this case?
Well, for the democracy,
Yes.
I think I would be using an airbrush.
Yep.
I'd kind of like to see this in the early 80s US camel color, M Dirks they called it, but like a olive green with brown patches, and then it's got white like sort of accents and highlights in between the two colors. I think they'd look really quite striking like that.
They look good.
Yeah, or just like blue with red and white, and just
Go
really
full
lean into
patriotism.
yeah.
That could work
Why
as
not?
well.
It's not like any of the
Democracy
bots are
star
camels,
is
so
actually
just,
painted onto
there
it.
we go.
If you did that, if
Big
you did the
wet star.
blue and red, you could put the big like a template for the democracy star, and just put that spray that over as well. So you've got a
That's it. Like nice blue, and then a few red highlights, and then just the democracy star and white here and there. I think that would look quite nice.
Well, the mobile
Very on the nose.
headquarters would be great, wouldn't it? It'd be just like, yeah, I'm just the flag driving him, commanding everything.
We're here. We're here to bring democracy.
The good thing about with the democracy guide, actually Bjorn did actually have a fair bit of input into these changes and his Melbourne group. But the things like because there was a few mistakes on the old cards, but I didn't want to change any of the cards for people on the new guides from the turbo cards because it's just confusing. So even though the design of the card is slightly different, actually all the stats are identical. But things like the mobile bunker you just mentioned, I'm starting to create more obvious connections for people between different models. Like if, for instance, the Eagle, he's got a lot of special rules, but his best special rule, which is strategist, is hard to work because of the couple of changes that happened to specialists in playtesting, and his card sort of missed out. So his strategy rating is 9. But if he's inside the mobile command bunker as a transport, then he's strategy rating 1. So, and it actually increases the range of his inspiring presence. So you can take that, the Eagle now, and you sort of almost get a discounted transport for him that increases his abilities. So, because to me, it just sort of made sense that if he's in a tank with a giant radar dish, then he's communicating to everybody. But if the tank gets destroyed or he gets outside the tank, then how's he going to communicate with everybody on the battlefield? So it just makes him really worthwhile taking. And it's got a fair bit of damage on it as well. So he's quite well protected in there. So, and if it does get attacked, he can always hop out of it and help boost the terrible close attack ability.
Yeah, I've got him up on the screen there for you there now, Anthony. I think the screen sharing next to Hopcraft.
Yeah, that's the tank. Yeah, so that's the tank. But the mobile command bunker, that's so that if he goes inside that, his abilities increase. I think the inspiring presence doesn't require line of sight. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But so if you take General Eagle and you take the mobile command bunker and you put him inside it, then General Eagle just gets a lot better.
Yeah, well, it suddenly goes from the right at the end of the turn to right at the start of the turn.
Yeah, it's just strategy. His strategist just becomes really, really valuable based on that, and his inspiring presence as well makes a big difference as well. So
the mobile bunker only costs 6 points, which is
that's right. It's discounted.
Very cheap.
Yeah. So I don't think its attack value is like really great, but its defense
No,
value is pretty good.
It's not there to really attack anything. It's only got 2 ranged,
Yeah,
0 close combat. So, but still,
Yeah.
3 shields, 7 health. It's not,
yeah,
not
that's
gonna
right.
get knocked out straight away, kind of thing.
Yeah, so essentially, you're buying the Eagle. You're paying 18
You pay-
points for Eagle. With some armor.
Yeah,
It's a nice little battery as well because it still gives you like for 6 points adding an extra.
yeah. You're getting 2 cubes
energy.
with it.
That's pretty.
And
Yeah.
you know what? It's still got ram attack, which still
Yeah.
makes it, that can still do a fair bit of damage, even with no close combat skill. Rolling 2 critical dice at something can still do a bit of damage.
Yeah,
There it is there.
Especially if you do that, then pop the general out.
yeah, that's right for the assist.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so just stuff like that. There's a few little things like that. A lot of the infantry, they're only movement 4, so it is worth just transporting them. Even though there's a risk there, of course, that if your transport is destroyed, then so is the infantry. But it's still worth doing. I think just gives them that bit more armor.
Yeah.
And get them
So,
up.
and you're sort of getting all their abilities on a drive-by.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Anthony, how would you close out the democracy?
Close out.
Yeah, how would you finish up and encourage people to play them as a faction based on our discussion and other things?
The funny thing, I'm just trying to think which one I think is more popular. It's really hard to tell because the people that I think probably more people play special branch, but the people that play Eagles vets love tanks.
Yeah,
they just love that sort of the normal human military versus the world, So yeah, I think if people love tanks, you can't go past the democracy. They got some of the coolest tanks, and especially if they're all painted up in a uniform camo color scheme, they just look really cool on the battlefield. So, but then again, special branch, they've just got all the personality. So, I actually for a long time, special branch was my favorite faction.
Special branch visually for me is far more interesting than tanks.
You might not be a treadhead. If you're a treadhead, though, tanks are where it's at.
The tanks are great. They're great. They still look really good and everything. I'm just, flying cars with guns coming out of them is just cooler for me. But yeah, both factions are going to be still very strong, and I don't think anyone could go wrong picking up either one of these.
Yeah, 100%. They are still strong.
You get so many special rules on both. Like, it's not just that it's it's not just the infantry of the democracy. The entirety of both democracy and special branch has a lot of special rules going on. You get, I think, majority of special branch, if you don't have advanced deployment, you have scouts. There might be 1 or 2 that don't have that. So no matter what, you're getting a lot of your guys starting further up the board straight away. A couple of really high RA hitters, and then things with you've got Big Bear, heavy caliber gun, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple of artillery pieces in there as well. So special branch really can pack a huge punch, and they can be quick moving in and out with jetpack and everything. So I think both of them still going to be very strong.
Yeah, I think the democracy are mostly got scout, and special branch mostly have advanced deployment.
That's right. Advanced deployment. They've got, I think, 2 or 3 that have scout as well.
Oh, did,
instead.
okay. I'm not sure that they did, but I could be wrong. I've looked at so many profiles of units. But yeah, one
You
skewed
got
towards advanced deployment.
Armadillo,
Yeah.
and Interceptor. I'm pretty sure has Scout as well. I
Okay.
think there might be one other. I can't remember off the top of my head
Interceptor's not
anymore.
that good, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, I know. He's terrible. Terrible little 8-point model shooting with 4 dice at robots.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I think I think both armies are a significant threat to people, but I do think that people can deal with them now. There's more tools in other people's playbooks now as well that have been that they can. But I don't think if you're going to a tournament, let's say you're going to a 6-game tournament, you would have to pack something in there knowing that you're going to face like something specifically designed to if you face democracy.
Yeah.
So especially special branch, but maybe even coils.
I noticed there's 2 new upgrades for special branch. There's no new ones for democracy, is there?
I think
can't remember off the top of my head. No, there must be. Some of them must be new because you split the factions.
There's
so
only one. I
Yeah,
think there's only one new one, I think, for democracy, but there is some. I think most of the special branch ones are new.
Yeah. Light Spectrum looks interesting.
Is that the one where he can automatically disengage?
Yeah, you can try to get away from ram attacks without taking any damage.
Yeah.
That would be incredibly annoying for the person who just rammed you.
It's not guaranteed though.
No, you have to roll for it, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's I mean, what you're rolling an attack dice and you want a 1 or 2, which is they're the ones with the most, isn't it? That's still a fair chunk of the dice is going to get you away from that person.
I think it's 50-50.
Is it? Okay.
I think so. I think it's a 50-50.
It's not a critical
to make your opponent's model waste the 2 energy on a ram attack and therefore no longer be able to use another super ability, depending on if they have martial warrior or something.
I don't think that's very cheap either. I think that's a reasonably expensive.
Light Spectrum. It's only 4 points.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, to me that's worth 4 points.
Oh well.
If you stick it on something that's going to be upfront, annoying the hell out of your opponent.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, it's worth probably just chucking it on there, especially in a 100-point game or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, most stuff will be 100-point games now.
Yeah, so, I think that's the way to go. Because I don't think adding that extra 20 points is really increasing the length of your games at all.
No, it's not actually.
It's just meaning that you're more likely to take, instead of 1 sort of more expensive guy, you'll take 2 more expensive guys, kind of thing.
Or more so, you have the option to.
Yeah.
Like you have the option to put in more than 1 type of tactic.
Yeah.
Into the list. So, I found 100 points much more satisfying to play than 80. So, because I think as well, like at factions like Beast Lords, just perform way better at 100.
I do.
Yes. Yeah.
Get that extra playing unit in that list, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I know we're getting a little bit off topic from democracy, but I think you can fit 6 Beast Lords in at a push at 100.
Yeah, I mean they're the 6 cheapest ones.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Not that it matters that much. What is it? You get like the 2 Beast Nobles. You get Dactylus. Parasola. So they're your like 4 cheapest, and then you kind of get like Stegoras and Arcanor or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Who are both Stegoras and Arcanor are like 2 of my favorite ones. Like them and Tyrannus. They're always in my Beast Lord teams.
Right.
They're my favorite 3.
Yeah.
and then normally Dactylus if I'm playing someone that's going to more than likely have some sort of flyer. So,
Yeah.
but yes.
But yeah, I mean, Red Cannoneers will take down Special Branch because they've got 1 inch extra range.
Yep.
Which makes a big difference. And like I say, in a 6-game tournament, like you have to think about, who am I going to face here? You have to try and have a list that's going to face something like Darkstones and then something like Democracy. At the same time, Democracy, they might not reach the top tables because they could run into whoever, Overlords or something.
Yeah, with the new different guides and stuff, there's now especially the Valiant's battle groups, that there's ones that sort of do like some of the stuff that Democracy were kind of really known for, like the scouting and advanced deployment. Well, you now have the
Green Spectres
kind of thing that do that as well. And they're really good at range attacks. You now have the Red Cannoneers that will be just as good, and they have the advantage of the extra inch. So it's going to be different now. They're not going to just have free reign of being the faction that starts halfway up the board.
Yeah, that's right. They just switch up the meta.
And is just blasting you from the get-go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because there'll be other factions now that will, if you play against Green Spectres, you might both end up right in the middle of the board together, straight into combat kind of thing, which they're not going to want to do.
That's right, because Green Spectres, they certainly don't have the close combat ability of Trashers, but they have a lean in that direction. And so, you don't want to... I think that game, if that game, Green Spectres versus Democracy, that will be won or lost in the deployment phase.
Yeah, I'd say
like
so,
who's scouting and where you're putting down the scouts. And if you make one stuff up, it's I think actually Green Spectres would have the advantage there because Green Spectres can manipulate the strategy.
Yeah, and isn't it that their faction specific one that lets you deploy half your faction forward? That doesn't have the same restriction on it as Scout does it? Where you have to deploy out of line of sight, and if you can't, then you have to deploy further back.
Yeah, it's like an extra long advanced deployment. But if you have models that have Scout,
they have to scout.
They have to be changed to have.
Yes, yeah.
You can't have the half deployment and the Scout models.
But
they have to be included in the 50% that you choose to deploy forward.
But those Scout models will be able to deploy using that sort of faction upgrade rather than Scout, which means that they can then deploy within line of sight.
Well, they have to, they have to use that because they're included in the 50% models that deploy up to half forward. Yeah, so it's potentially stronger than Scout.
Yeah, and they can deploy even further, Oh no, Scout lets you deploy anyway.
Yeah. So basically, you'll lose Scout.
But it does give you the ability to place yourself wherever you want. There is no restriction on it at all. So that can help.
Up to half the board.
Yes, but you can deploy yourself in line of sight, which means that you will have a better advantage of being able to ram attack someone because you can deploy yourself seeing them straight away. Kind of thing. Instead of behind something.
Well, if someone, I'm not sure. I don't think it's as cut and dry as that because the scouts will on other people's teams will still always deploy last. So you'll deploy
So
your guys
50%
up,
last.
which is what on a 36-inch table. So it's 18 inches forward.
The Green Spectres deployment doesn't. They still deploy in strategy rating, even if they're deploying with that extra.
Yeah, I have to read it again, but I'm pretty sure
I don't have it on me right now. I don't have it on me right now, so I can't. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to remember it.
Yeah, but I think the idea of the meta like that is just like switching up the meta.
Yeah,
is that my whole thing for it was okay? How's Democracy I'm not thinking how's Democracy going to perform against Darkstones or how's Democracy going to perform against Beast Lords. I'm thinking in a 6-game tournament where you got a pretty even spread of different factions, how is democracy going to perform?
Yeah.
So I think that they'll have an above average chance of getting up into the top tables, but it's not guaranteed. Whereas I think before the guides, it was,
I would say before the guides, 8 out of 10 tournaments would be won by democracy.
probably, yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Look, on that
So-
note, we're probably drawing to a close for today.
Yes.
Look, it's really good talking. I actually think what would be good is if we could actually add that onto Facebook or get that moving a little bit further, or maybe make that as a discussion point for our next episode. I believe Infestors will be our next episode. Is that correct, Anthony?
Probably. It's hard to tell, sorry, Mark, because it all comes down to what models come off the assembly line. Because Atlantica and the Hive Lords are both written, it's just waiting for pictures of models.
Okay, well, stay tuned. It'll either be one or the other, probably, if this that's the case. So stay tuned. It's been great to have you all here today. It's obvious, as always, great to have Anthony, Bjorn, and Stuart here contributing and giving their well-earned feedback on all things Bot War. And I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. And we look forward to sharing more ideas and Facebook posts at our next videocast. Thank you all, and look forward to the next show.
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye.